Kevin S. Fernstall, Assistant City Clerk, you're hereby directed to call the regular session of the City Council to be held on Monday, February 18, 2008 at 6:30 p.m. in the Historic Federal Building to act upon such business that may properly come before the council.
Mayor Buell.
Here.
Council members Bragg.
Here.
Connors.
Here.
Jones. Here. Next item is multifunction printer, copier, scanner, fax vendor.
In early 2006, city staff began studying options to create a more efficient printing, copying, scanning, and faxing environment. After an exhaustive process involving most of the city departments, in-house testing of different providers, and issuance of a request for proposal, a solution similar to what is being used at businesses like Cottingham and Butler and John Deere has been identified. On July 17, 2007, responses were received to a request for proposals. Information Services Manager Chris Coleman is recommending selection of Solutions Management Group, or SMG, as the service and product provider at a first-year cost of $660,358, including equipment purchase. Subsequent years are $98,624 for service and maintenance. The three finalists for the multifunction project had the following 5-year estimated costs. SMG was $1,054,853.72. Icon was $955,635.05. Advanced was $918,965.67. Choosing SMG provides $117,379 in average annual savings from current city costs. The important thing to remember is that cost savings is a side benefit and not the motivation for this change to a multi-function environment.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lynch, go ahead.
If I'm reading this correct, there's a difference in the 5-year estimated costs of over $100,000 additional, correct? Am I right on that?
From the lowest price vendor to the vendor that's being chosen. The one that we're selecting.
Yes. So why would we not go with the lowest vendor, lowest cost?
I have lots of information if you need lots of information. I knew that would be a question tonight, so I'm glad it was asked. I think very important in Mike's memo was that this project was probably one that cost, although important for the team, it was important that we had someone that we could depend on for workflow implementation and truly got their arms around this project and grasped the fact that it was a workflow implementation and a solution implementation. So there's an incredible need to have resources and an ability within the company to not only sell the hardware and provide good support for that hardware, but also someone that could work within departments that had experience at implementing document management, implementing efficient workflow. Very much you can see in the number of hours that we're looking at between the vendors tells the story. Did the reference checks too. I think that's what hit it home most for me, that of the vendors, SMG was the only vendor in this that could provide similar projects where they had actually gone in and not only done hardware and software and training, but also had worked within the organization to say how can you gain efficiencies with using the hardware and software that you've been given. I guess I'd like to call it a dump and run, is what we really wanted to avoid. And not that I'm saying the other vendors would have dumped and run, but I think we're getting a very value-added resource by implementing SMG for this project. It's just they're so head and shoulders over. I think we looked at it that the extra money you're paying for is going to gain efficiencies within the city, which are very soft costs. You can't put your arms around a half-hour extra time that a reception person can gain in their day, let's say if they need to look some information up, or I should say a clerical person within staff. We talked earlier tonight about records management, and I think that's where this project really, you get your arms around of where the value comes from that says it's worth that additional amount of money. So it's probably less about the dollars that we're spending, and we made that very sure in the RFP, and it's very much more about the value that this company is bringing to the table and that they can provide for us.
So the references from the other two companies did not indicate that they would provide the same level of service?
They didn't indicate to me that they had experience. In the references they provided, they either weren't using all the features of a multifunction device is a printer, scanner, copier, fax machine. And in at least two of them, it was we're not using the fax. Another one wasn't using the scanning. The one company, which was local, that was using the full functionality did not do any workflow implementation. SMG showed experience in the other places that they had been, where they would actually then they suggested this process to us actually as part of their response to say, we're going to go into each department and say, identify what those 3 documents are, work with you on how to make those most efficient, how do we cut the paper flow down in your department, how do we gain efficiencies. I didn't see that from the other companies. I had to actually explain that to them. In most cases, they just weren't grasping it and getting their arms around it. And I'm not in any way saying they're not good companies. I'm just saying that from an experience standpoint and the fit that we need for this project, SMG was the only one that really came to the table that showed that fit.
I just have 2 questions. Is SMG local?
SMG has a local salesperson. He works out of his home. They're also chamber members, and they are, with the number of businesses that they're approaching within the Dubuque area, it's in their 5-year plan to actually have a office here.
Where does service come from?
Service would come from the Quad Cities. And in fact, service for the lowest priced company, some would come from Dubuque, but the bulk would come from Waterloo.
And what kind of product is it? What's the name of the?
It's a Ricoh solution.
Okay.
2 offered Ricoh, 1 offered Canon.
Even though up front there's going to be more of a cost with the one that we chose, in the end, if you've got the slickest machine around and you don't use it to its full potential, then it doesn't matter. Then you should just only have a copy machine or whatever. And
Any other questions for Chris? Lynch?
Just quickly, I'm not trying to minimize the effort that you put into it all. And Chris, you know I have the utmost respect for your abilities and your judgment. And I also thank you for the effort that you put into it, and the committee as well. I have a problem with us sending local taxpayer dollars out of the city first. I have a problem with us spending more than a lower bid, second of all. And I've voiced that on several occasions. I think it's probably fallen on deaf ears, but I'm going to continue to beat the drum anyway. So I, unfortunately, am probably not going to vote in favor of this.
Okay, the motion is to receive and file and approve the recommendation of selecting SMG. Kevin, would you call the roll, please?
Jones.
Aye.
Lynch.
No.
Resnick.
Aye.
Vogtberg.
No.
Bragg.
Aye.
Buell.
Aye.
Connors.
aye.
Motion carries 5-2.
Next item is a parking ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones?